English 2320. This is my presentation of WWE NXT brand strategies, marketing, and cross-brand strategies. Now, what is WWE NXT? Most people know that WWE, World Wrestling Entertainment, is a wrestling organization that has over 5 shows of wrestling on TV each week. What most people don't know is how it cultivates those superstars. Some superstars do come from other companies, but NXT is the brainchild of part-time wrestler, former world champion, and now COO of talent and live events, Paul Levesque, known as Triple H. NXT is considered to be developmental territory for World Wrestling Entertainment. In the past, they had a territory known as FCW. FCW folded to make way for NXT. NXT, because of the brand that they were trying to create, had to be different than the original. They did this by starting partnerships, pushing social media, and keeping costs low, but having high advertising. Now, NXT is not just a wrestling program. As I said, it is developmental. The TV aspect of it has those superstars that are either veterans who've never been in WWE, or those newer stars that have been training long enough where they can get on TV, hone their skills and their characters. Within this partnership was a huge social media presence. That social media presence started on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and now they even have a deal with Snapchat. Those partnerships through social media help cultivate the cross-brand partnerships and strategies that they have in force. You have the partnership with Full Sail University, the partnership with NBC Universal. You also have the partnership with ESPN. And you also have a partnership with 2K Sports. In between there, you also have that ability to advertise. Now, because NXT is as I said, developmental, it wasn't meant to get that huge explosion such as World Wrestling Entertainment's big event, WrestleMania, or even their shows on USA Network, which is a Universal owned brand, Raw and SmackDown. Now, let's talk about more in depth on the social media presence. Between all 5 social media brands, WWE has over 370 million followers. That is between Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Snapchat. This presence is 24/7, 365. So even if they're sleeping, their brand isn't. It's always circulating. Now, let's look at Twitter, for instance. With Twitter, they trend every week. Monday nights, they trend Wednesday nights, they trend Thursday, and sometimes Friday nights. At most, during the month of April, they trended at least 3 times every single week. And it wasn't even just for the WWE's main programming, it was for NXT. The main WWE roster trended once between the first week of April. The other 2, WWE NXT. NXT actually out-trended WWE in the month of April. Now, because NXT is ran, as I said, as developmental. They have to put in more work than the normal superstar. Not everyone watches NXT, so they have to put their brand out there. So superstars hashtagging when they're in town, taking pictures on Instagram, doing YouTube videos, doing Snapchat Q&As with fans before a show, Twitter, Facebook video Q&A before a show. The social media presence is always out there. It's alive, basically. They are tapped into that. That has helped grow NXT faster than you can even imagine. Since the NXT relaunch in 2012, they have gained 690 new followers on Twitter. That's just their account alone. Okay, they take credit and should take credit for the huge 120% increase in followers on all social media platforms for WWE. Also, those cross-branded partnerships. We're going to start with one of the most important, which is NBC Universal. NBC Universal has been a partner for the WWE for many years, since the 80s. Because of their partnership, they have existing contracts for marketing and advertising. Because Raw and SmackDown, the two main brands, their household names, their pictures, they've actually moved some of the advertising from Raw and SmackDown and gave it so they can put on NBC commercials for NXT across their platform. So let's say Esquire Network, you usually see 2 to 3 Raw or SmackDown commercials. Now you see 1 or 2, the rest NXT. They're trying to pump that brand. They've cultivated this into their video game agreement with 2K Sports. 2K Sports has been a partner with WWE since 2012 with the WWE 2K series. Now, before it was just the main superstars, nothing about development. Come 2015, 2014, they added NXT into the mix. That actually boosted the sales from the year before by 32%. That is unheard of. 2K16, from 2K14 to 2K16, an increase of 32%. Because the game technically doesn't change, and they actually lost revenue from 2012 to 2014. The fact that since they added NXT into that, as far as downloadable content, as far as adding storylines from NXT, has boosted the sales because people are expecting NXT to be in there. Let's also talk about their relationship now with ESPN. ESPN is a direct marketing and TV opponent for NBC Universal because their parent company is Disney. But they've been able to cultivate that relationship. ESPN itself, they show basketball, football, soccer, hockey. They show sports. Wrestling has never been seen as a sport. It's been seen as entertainment. And the fact that there's been 2 in the last 3 years of former WWE employees becoming anchors with ESPN, it kind of bred credibility. So now WWE has a relationship that superstars will appear on ESPN on Mondays after their main brand Raw. They've had specials on NXT, specials on NXT Superstars since February of 2016. The fact that NXT content on ESPN is viewed 20% more than, as they say, main roster content, That is a win for NXT. That shows it's getting out there. The other strategic partner, which is actually the biggest strategic partner, is Full Sail University. Full Sail University is a media school. What does that mean? That means Full Sail does TV, music, production, creative, set design, marketing. Anything having to do with the entertainment industry, Full Sail University handles. It is very niche in the college profit system. Because NXT's facilities are state of the art, their Full Sail live auditorium is being used by NXT as their home base. Okay, you may think, what's the big deal with that? Here's the big deal. 95% of all ticket sales go to Full Sail University to be used in scholarships. WWE, since 2012, since they began a partnership with NXT, has given out a combined $250,000 in scholarships. Since the partnership of 2012, 25 Full Sail University students that worked with NXT are now WWE full-time employees. So now you have a partnership where you have free advertising, you have a very low cost place to tape your shows. Now, and they tape their shows twice a month, months in advance. So 2 months of shows will be taped all within a 1 month period. That saves money. It frees up the auditorium for Full Sail for other events. WWE doesn't have to incur the full price of renting out, but they still give back via the scholarships, which is less money. Full Sail will naturally have to shell out for scholarships. The best part about this partnership is that NXT has Full Sail University students shadow them. So now, not only do you have this amazing auditorium to be used at a low cost, now you have the ability to bring in talent that may one day become your employees. Great way to cross-brand and help grow your brand. Now, advertising, huge with NXT. Very, very huge. Most of NXT was word of mouth. In my case, I watch NXT. I tell a friend, hey, James, you gotta watch NXT, it's great. James is like, oh, okay, maybe I'll check it out. James checks it out. Oh my God, it's great. It's awesome. I want to tell a friend. That friend watches it. James tells another friend. So it moves. It moves and it moves. NXT's advertising has been localized. They are out of Winter Park, Florida, which is where Full Sail Live Auditorium is located. So now, because they're in the local niche, they advertise local heavy to get those people in the door. The advertising is actually done by the NXT superstars. They make the flyers, they print them out, they go send the flyers out, they send them to the newspapers or other organizations. This is in their contract where they're learning the business. So now your advertising is now becoming a cost-cutting measure, which is saving you money and teaching at the same time. Also, you have to take a look at how they advertise. They advertise whether it's a global event such as NXT TakeOver in London. They advertise just as hard as that as they do an NXT event in Coral Springs, Florida. Being aggressive on both ends gives that fan base the feel that they think every show is going to be a great show. Along with the advertising, you have to use available resources that you have. And because of these cross-branded relationships, your marketing strategy has to bounce off those. The WWE Network, for instance, yes, it is where NXT is shown. The WWE Network was created to be a content holder for wrestling, past, present. Video library, the Netflix of wrestling. NXT was just supposed to be a content to be added, just part of the content. What happened is that NXT became the face for the WWE Network. So they basically took what was just supposed to be, hey, come check out this old wrestling. NXT is now the focal point of the WWE Network. So they took something that was already there, that was about to be expanded. NXT, because they're on the WWE Network, they're the face of the WWE Network now. Subscribership for the WWE goes up. So now you have one brand that is positively affecting the other brand. Because if there's one way to see NXT, it's on the WWE Network, which means you have to subscribe to the WWE Network. These cross-branded partnerships are what make NXT work, because they have such a high overhead. They have to do things to not only cut costs, but they have to do things smart in a strategic way. Now, NXT has built this brand, built on marketing, built on exercising existing partnerships. NXT is an example of if you just use what you have, anything is possible, anything can make your brand amazing.